Right, good evening. So, we're doing another one of our group collective healing sessions live tonight. And we're just going to see who makes it to tonight's session. In the meantime, I'm just going to read from Anatomy of the Spirit, and we're going to read about redirecting power. So many people attend my workshops come because they realize they need to change their lives. Some are afraid to leave their partner or their job, while others are trying to find a way to live with a situation that is incompatible with their emotional needs. Lilith, hello, how are you? Welcome in. How are you doing this evening? I can't begin to calculate the number of times people have said, I think I was better off before I realized how unhappy I was. Yeah, once you realize how unhappy you are or how ill-fitting a situation or a circumstance is, it just highlights some dis-ease or dysfunction that you can't ignore any longer. Peachy. Oh, good. Yes, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. So whilst I'm waiting, I'm just going to see who else joins this evening. I'm going to be sharing a bit from Anatomy of the Spirit, and I'm reading a bit from redirecting, a bit about redirecting power. Once we make conscious our emotional needs, however, it's impossible to forget them. Once we become aware of the source of an unhappiness, we cannot expunge that awareness. We have to make choices. Yeah, it's good to see you here too. It's such an interesting time right now. There's so much happening on our planet with regards to money. There's so much restructuring that's been taking place. And I'm sure many people are experiencing this restructuring in their own personal lives, in their business as well, wondering, well, what's happening? Because my formula, what I was doing that contributed to so much success, doesn't seem to be working anymore. Well, that was part of the old matrix, and now we are restructuring as we are moving into a brand new reality. Also, we've got a new species that's entering our earth plane. All right, so new babies being born, coming in with very, very highly advanced and with very unique blueprint and genetic structure. So lots of interesting things happening on our planet, and this collective, these, we've sort of, we're that overachieving kid, that puts their hand up for everything, and it's like, yeah, I want to run that race, I want to do that, I want to be a part of that team. It looks like we just chose all of the challenging stuff, and we certainly built for it, so we are, everything that we've gone through, all the initiations, all of the upgrades, all of the activations, is so that we could be as equipped as possible to facilitate this new species integration into humanity, and also the new systems. It's a lot of change, and I'm sure it's quite scary for a lot of people, especially if you don't see the world, if you don't see reality the way that, like I do, and many who I'm sure follow my channel and my content do as well. So it is exciting times. Okay, so we are going to be doing some healing, channeled healing tonight. Please let me know if you've joined. Say hi. Let me know if you've joined to be a part of our channeled healing activations tonight. And whilst I'm just waiting for everybody to come in and to make themselves known, We're just reading a portion of Anatomy of the Spirit, and we're looking at redirecting power. All right. The ability to choose is an active power. And the sensation of having active power is both thrilling and threatening, because it makes us want to change those parts of our lives that are no longer appropriate. And changing those parts inspires us to challenge other aspects of our lives that are not satisfactory. And I think this is often why people who are willing to be so radically honest with themselves can trigger people who have worked really hard to find comfort in the norm and the status quo, because they thought that is the world and it's not going to change for them, so they better adapt to it. So those of us who are rebels, who are willing to push against and say, well, we'll create our own spaces, can be very triggering to those people. Because how dare you be so free when I've had to conform, and when I've had to abandon so and oppress so much of who I am, you know? Changing our lives is often difficult because of our existing loyalties. Usually we learn about loyalty within our family structures, and as a connection towards our family, loyalty to oneself, however, is an entirely different virtue. And adhering to it can cause tremendous upheaval in a family. So there's also then the threat of being rejected and abandoned. I'd like to think, and I certainly do see more of it, those of us who have come here to challenge toxic cycles within the family, that we have been very deliberate about creating spaces where our family members, the youth in our family, where they can have the freedom to be themselves, you know, where they're not sort of towering under the umbrella of what has always been. So there's more opportunity for individuality and to be honored in that way. Becoming loyal to oneself, for instance, may cause a woman to recognize that she can no longer remain with her marriage. And that can be very challenging. Rahul, hi, welcome in. That can be very challenging when you've attached your entire future to this idea or this concept of being with this person, and whatever that may mean, and their family as an extension. So upon sharing the information with her husband, she will be told, think of the children. Her case is an extremely common example of group loyalty conflicting with the loyalty of oneself. And it's natural to think that that is being selfish, you know, like you're just being selfish. You should think about the entire unit. But in my work as a spiritual coach and a spiritual healer, I have found that the path to well-being for an entire unit is to honor self, and is to honor your relationships through honoring yourself. And what we've been taught in our systems that we have set up here is that you need to self-abandon and honor the unit. So it's difficult to think or imagine that you can honor a relationship or the relationships outside of yourself by honoring yourself first. It almost seems counterproductive, but truly it is the only way to find well-being as a unit, because everybody in your life is an extension of you. They're a physical manifestation of a part of you. And yes, they're individuals, but if we do well, if we love ourselves, if we can honor ourselves, if we are in a higher state of consciousness in the relationship with ourselves, that filters into every other relationship. If we're self-abandoning, then that comes from a place of shortage, and that shortage becomes evident in the relationships outside of ourselves. Okay, so At some point, our emotional bodies become sufficiently empowered that the mind can no longer fool the heart. In order to be healthy, in order to assume well being, health and well being is not something that is created outside of us, and it's not the only way to be healthy, is not just to cope with symptoms. Well being is to allow yourself to be whole, which means all of you come into union in a harmonious way. So, emotionally, psychologically, physically, and the relationships outside of ourselves are also an extension, just by perception, of parts of who we are that play out or animated in the relationships outside of ourselves. They're not separate people that we're trying to relate to. They're aspects of the self made manifest outside of us as a mirror that we can have automatic harmony with if we create that harmony within ourselves first and foremost. And I think a lot of people don't realize this and is constantly reaching for that harmony outside of themselves and thinking the only way to do that is through self-abandonment. All right. So the unhappy wife will either end up in unceasing personal turmoil by remaining in the marriage, or she will pursue a divorce while filled with guilt that she has been disloyal to the group, her family. In truth, there are not many ways to successfully introduce your personal needs into a circumstance that was created before you realized what your personal needs were. And this, I think, is the greatest challenge, is we are so focused on pursuing that partnership that is going to be home that we don't first meet with ourselves. And society is not designed the way that our ancestors had sort of designed society to facilitate these various rites of passage. It's focused around supporting us meeting with ourselves in all these sacred ways. Our society, the modern society that we're sort of leaving behind now, was designed for us to adapt to the whole. The focus was not discovering who we are. There was this sort of, this, you are who we are. This is your religion. This is your race. This is how we do things. I remember growing up, I grew up in different households, but when I was with my parents who had taken me in later and adopted me unofficially, I heard this a lot from my mother. That's not how we do things. This is how we do things. That's not how we do things. This is how we do things. And it's something that now that I have a deeper understanding of that, really echoes in my mind. And I think that's a lot of people's experience. So we've had to find ourselves after pursuing the status quo and having everything fall apart at a much later stage. It would have been nice if that was a part of our culture, and then we move into connecting our lives with other people because we already know ourselves. Okay, so healing is not just about the physical body or the mind, because that's how it presents. It is a holistic journey. Medicine, it's interesting because our society calls drugs medicine and medicine drugs. But medicine, as we know it, is the prescription of drugs to manage symptoms. There is no healing in our medical spaces, or it's not part of our societies and our cultures, really. So we're having to go back to the old ways. We're having to refer to those, to what healing really is, and those old practices before they were replaced. So it is it is not just focusing on the part of the body that is making the noise. It is recognizing the whole of who you are, and all of the tentacles that reach far and wide in your lived experience, that relates to that energy center, or that part of yourself that you're experiencing through that painful symptom or through that disease. Okay, so I am going to be doing channeled healing activations. So for those who join who would like to get a healing done, you can put your symptom in the comment section, and I will channel for you and bring through some energy to support your healing journey. When you have a symptom, by the time you have a symptom or a disease that has manifested in the 3D, you are already going through your healing process. That is why it is presenting in that way, because it is a full-on manifestation of your readiness to heal that, your willingness to meet that part of yourself in a very sacred way. You're being summoned by that part of your body, if I can put it that way. But how most of us think is, by the time something is chronic, well, now it's done, it's finished, it's ruined. I'm just going to have to live with it or die by it, you know? So there's so much that needs to shift in our mindsets with regards to what it means to heal, what well-being is, and our individual capacities to heal. So when we think about the energy centers within our bodies, many of you will be familiar with chakras already. The first chakra, which is known as the root chakra, the lessons that chakra offers us. Okay. All right, Lilith. Well, let's see. Maybe no one else will come forward, and then we can take a look. Let's just see what happens. Okay. So the first chakra, the lessons that the root chakra offers us pertains to the material world. We are being, the summoning from the root chakra is with regards to the material world, and that is the physical, tangible things that the conditions. It comes to bring us lessons about our relationship with conditionality, with our conditions, with how things manifest around us, the tangible 3D world. So that's our money, that's the tribe communities, and that's that is related to your sense of security and your sense of respect in the world. Okay, how respected you feel by other people, what sort of value you expect from other people, and how you relate to other people, whether you enjoy the world that you're in. And I will be honest, for the most part, I have to work on enjoying the world that I'm in. I experienced a lot of awful things, and I've witnessed a lot of awful things, and I don't enjoy small talk. There's a lot about humanity that I don't particularly enjoy. So I have to make an effort there. Security and respect for me, because of neglect and severe childhood trauma, and trauma well into my adult life. It's something that I have to work on all the time. So when we have symptoms that manifest, is because we're being brought these lessons, because often these are the areas in which we feel we are being held back, or where we are being blocked from reaching that next level of freedom or joy or expansion. Yeah. Thank you, Lilith. So the second chakra, which is the belly chakra, the lessons that this chakra brings us is, or the energy center of the belly, is related to sexuality, work, and physical desire. You will find a lot of your lessons from the belly chakra manifesting in one-on-one relationships. Also, if there's been sexual trauma or violations to the body or like abuse or suppression where your desires were not heard, they were sort of devalued or demonized, and you now have a wonky relationship with what it is you want because you're constantly afraid that what you want is not the best thing or the right thing, or what you want is selfish or bad. The belly chakra is going to be the chakra that brings you a lot of lessons, and how these lessons manifest will be in your romantic relationships. For me, the belly chakra, the always points back to one-on-one relationships with your primary caregivers, like your mother, father, as opposed to the root chakra that guides us back to the tribe and the community, the community you're born into. So when I recognize amongst my clients that there's a belly chakra issue, I will really coach them through spending time with one-on-one relationships, how they perceive it and their capacity, and helping them to develop their capacity to honor it. Mfanelo, hello, welcome in. Okay, so, and then the third chakra is the solar plexus. It's the space immediately beneath the diaphragm. And the lessons from that energy center relates to the ego, your personality, and your self-esteem. Self-esteem, confidence, and the ego, your relationship with your ego. But something that also is vital to that energy center is your guidance system, your personal guidance system. So it's important to have a well-balanced relationship between the self and this and I, the ego and the soul self. Because if the ego is dominant, the ego's very reactive to conditions and circumstances, because the ego feels like it needs to protect you. And if the ego is very loud and dominant, you won't hear your intuition. You'll think your fear is your intuition. And a lot of people get that wrong. They get that mixed up sometimes, where they think, oh, my intuition is telling me not to do that. And really it's their wound. And your intuition is different to your wound. Your intuition is your soul self, and there's no fear attached to that. So learning how to listen to the guidance system is something that a lot of people need help with. And it's something that I give a lot of attention to in my coaching sessions, because if you cannot listen to your GPS, your built-in GPS, you're going to lose your way all the time. And you're just going to think you're a victim. I lost my way because I'm being sabotaged, or because that person told me to turn there, or because this person did that, or because they closed that road down, when really you're just not able to hear or listen to your GPS, because you can't distinguish the difference between your wound or your ego making a noise, panicking, and your guidance system giving you a clear navigation of where to go. And this is why we often attract the same kind of situations and scenarios over and over, because we have our wounds attracting our partners, and we think it's love. It's really an obsession, because we're so desperate to heal, but we can't read it in that way. So we attract these partners that mirror our wounds, and we bond with them. We trauma bond with them, and we are obsessed and compelled to make things work, because really subconsciously we're trying to fix what is broken within us in the relationship. And then when the relationship doesn't work out, because it never will, we re-traumatize. We are totally re-traumatized. And that is why we spiral. Even when we know the relationship wasn't good, the grief has this hold of us, because what's really happening is we failed to meet our wound once again, even though we sacrificed a lot to do that. And there are easier ways to do that. We can go straight to the source, self, right? The relationship with self. And then the fourth energy center, which is known as the Anahata, the heart chakra, lessons from this energy center relates to love, forgiveness, and compassion. Grief. Our capacity to recover, to process, and to move through hard truths without taking it personally that I am not loved and I was abandoned and I lost something really big and sacred in my life, and now I'm forever going to be less as a result of it. The grief becomes complicated and it affects the heart chakra. And the heart chakra, this space here, if this is out of balance, you cannot heal. No other part of you. You can work with your other energy centers to maybe heal the root chakra or the belly chakra or any of the other energy centers, because my liver is giving me a problem or my colon gives me a problem. And you can eat the best food and you can do the best exercise and you can get workshop after workshop to focus on healing that part of your body. If this is blocked, you cannot heal, because this is where your inner healer lives. Also, your money, no matter how hard you work, you're gonna struggle with money, because this is where your heart is. To me, that's like the battery of the vehicle. And if the battery's flat, you can have your petrol tank full, your engine can be perfect, your vehicle can be in great condition, but if your battery is flat, you're not going to drive, that vehicle's not going to move. Oh, did I? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You see, everything is connected. Everything is connected. Nothing is separate. In this reality, we have a separation consciousness here. It's built into the ego, where we're all separate and we all have separate ideas and we all have separate this and we all separate that, but we're really not separate. We're all connected. We're like one tree, but the branches on one end of the tree and the branch on the other end of the tree may never meet, and if they do, they'll think they're separate. If you break two branches off from two opposite ends of the tree and put them next to one another, they might think that they come from different trees. So as humans, we're the same, but we're not separate. We're not separate from the earth. We're not separate from animals. Our ego has made us believe that, like, some have religious beliefs, or some schools of thought believe that animals have no soul. Most ridiculous thing ever. Even a stone has soul. Everything that is energy and frequency is collectively is consciousness. And so we're all connected. So when you meet people, even the ones that you don't like, you're meeting versions of yourself. And so this is why when you have a relationship that is built on expecting or on distrust or conflict with others, human beings, and I'm going to be honest, I don't like humans a lot of the time. And I can say that and know that, but I do love humans, but I need to show that love a little bit more. But sure, humans can behave so badly sometimes. Like, humans, we just ruin a lot of stuff, right? And that is a blockage I have. So it's something I have to be aware of, and I have to support my root chakra, and I have to open my heart chakra, and I have to be willing to work on that every single day. If I leave the house without meditating, I even joke, yeah, because in South Africa there's so much crime. And I'm like, I'd rather take my chances. I can't own a gun. I will definitely, someone will cut me, someone will cut me off in traffic and swear at me, and I will stop the car and I will shoot their kneecaps if I have to, or in their legs, and not think anything. And it's not a very spiritual thing to say. So I know myself. No, you can't have a gun because you have work to do when it comes to other human beings. But the reason why I'm saying this is because being honest with ourselves, none of us are perfect. And the reason why we experience life the way we do, there is a reason. And often there is trauma associated with it. Yeah, often there's trauma associated with it. Um, and you got to be honest with yourself about who you are and choose to be a better person every day. It's not an excuse to be unconscious about who you are. It's not an excuse for us to be unconscious. We've got to own our shadows and our light, because light does not exist in the absence of light and dark goes together. And you got to own all of who you are, and you got to love all of who you are, because the reason why you are the way you are, there is a reason why you are the way you are, and only in accepting yourself fully can you guide yourself towards more well-being. Okay. And then we've got so compassion, forgiveness. And often in my coaching sessions I teach what real compassion is, because I think we have a warped idea of a lot of things. We think being kind is lying to people. No, being kind is being honest. And then when you're honest, then people say you're not kind. But you need to know what kindness is, not other people's definition, because otherwise, some people's idea of a nice person is someone that they can walk over. To me, I'm not interested in being nice. I want to be a good person. And I don't think you can be both. A good person is authentic. A good person is honest. A nice person is going to be whatever you want them to be. And that to me is manipulation. You can't trust someone like that. So the fifth chakra is the throat. And the lessons from this chakra is related to will and self-expression. Your will. It's easy to do things when things are easy. The moment that we're challenged and we still need to be true to that thing, that's when your will kicks in. And not a lot of people have a strong will. It's that perseverance to keep doing what is right, even when nobody agrees with you, even when no one supports you, and when it's heavy. And you still continue. That's where your will comes into play. So the throat, that's where that comes in. And will, what fuels your will is when your truth, what you believe to be true, what is true to you in your heart, and divine will comes into alignment. And I also find with my clients, a lot of people struggle with that. To know, this is the big question when they come to me for readings. What does God want me to do? What's the right thing to do? And so there's a lot of teaching that has to go on around that, because the right thing to do is not right for everyone. It's right for you. And it depends on context. It depends on circumstance. It depends on what serves the situation and everyone involved is highest good. And sometimes no one's going to agree with that. There aren't going to be other people that's going to agree, because this person's going to want you to do what they want. That person's going to want you to do what they want. And so this is where your throat chakra comes into play. When your throat chakra is balanced, you won't be swayed left, right, back, forth, because everybody's got a different idea of what's right. You will know in your core. You will be solid in your knowing what honors and what is right, because divine will and your truth will come together relatively. Yes. So beautiful, souls. We're talking well-being, we're talking healing, and I'm offering body and soul alignment healing activations. It's a channeled healing. If you have a symptom or a disease or something you'd like to get healing for, some healing, energy healing support, you'd like to perhaps experience it, you're welcome to put your symptom in the comments section. If not, if you're just here to witness, you're welcome to do so too. And then the sixth energy center is your third eye. It's this. Ears, eyes, third eye. And your third eye, the lessons from your third eye is related to mind, intuition, insight, and wisdom. Your intuition, your gifts, if you're a seer, would you be open to do a general guidance in healing too? Yes, I can do that too. I can. But you know what? I think, Lilith, if you have a particular area, a symptom or something that you would like some support or relief with, you can put it in the comments and I will Hi, I often experience crippling anxiety. I feel it in my solar plexus. I've just joined, so I've missed a lot. Okay, that's fine. You join when you join. Your guides bring you when you're meant to come. I think that's a nice one. Thank you, Lizzie. Lilith, that's a nice one. I think most of us can relate to some anxiety at this time because we've got a lot happening on the planet. There's a lot of restructuring taking place. Okay. So I'm going to channel what Spirit brings through for us as a collective pertaining to the anxiety. So I was saying your guidance system is here where your solar plexus is. Anxiety is associated with your nervous system, with your solar plexus. It's fear. And it's an indication that we are living in tomorrow. And the reason why anxiety is so uncomfortable is because tomorrow does not yet exist where I am now. So it's a very uncertain realm. In order to exist in tomorrow, or the possibilities of tomorrow, or what could come, it's very harsh on our nervous system because we're touching on possibilities that are defined by past experiences that were uncomfortable, and it's got nothing to do with our truth. You know, it's like stepping out, putting your foot out in front of the other, and the ground is not there yet. Okay. And I'm just thinking about this now whilst I'm talking about this and I'm sharing this with you guys. Spirit is reminding me because I was thinking in my head, I haven't had anxiety in a long time, you know, miss. And then they said to me, no, actually, yesterday you had a big wobble, girl. So I was very triggered by an experience. Witnessing an experience that someone else was having that regressed me into my own childhood, but not only my childhood, something that has come up for me of late. So before I start this channeling, I want to share this with you guys because I think that it can be relatable, you know. My biological parents were very bad alcoholics. My mother had me when she was very young, and my mother didn't finish school. She wasn't educated, came from poverty. My grandparents were laborers on a farm. It was basically slave labor. my ancestors, my great grandparents' land was taken away from them, and so everybody from communities like mine was ended up without a home, and they became the labor force for those who got their land, the farmers. So here in South Africa, we had apartheid. Okay, if you're South African, you'll know this. And so we had this unfair land, like people's land taken away from them and distributed to people, given to Europeans for nothing. Come here and come and farm, you can have land. They took our land and they did that. So anyway, we end up, so all the kids ended up having to work for other people and then work in a place where they could have somewhere to live. And my grandparents worked for farmers, right? That's because that's what they knew. Their parents had farms and they knew what to do, and they became the labor force, much like many other. And what this meant was they lived as farm workers on the farm and they worked there. And we had a DOP system here where they would pay a lot of the workers with alcohol. Like, it wasn't an agreement, I'm going to pay you with alcohol. They were very, very sly. They decide they would ring a bell, and it was really hot. Imagine picking grapes or dealing with cattle, and it's hot. They would ring a bell at certain times of the day and you had to come for your drink. And they made alcoholics of a lot of our people, and we still struggle with alcoholism and substance abuse, addiction in our communities. So my grandparents didn't go to school. They were laborers. They never had a house of their own. They couldn't afford to educate their children. So my mum and her siblings had to go and live with their aunts and uncles who were in the cities to try and get education. Yeah. So my mother left school. And now imagine you got parents who don't have any money. They're working for someone. And when my grandparents went to work for their first boss, and our people were very loyal, they would work and work and work until they were old, even though they were being exploited because they were hardworking. They came with cattle because when my grandmother's father's land was taken, he had. So he gave his children, you get this cattle, you get that, you get. And the farmer said, well, you can bring your cattle onto my land, but then I must have the calves every year. Anyway, I don't know, something just happens inside of me when I think of these things, and there was so much worse that happened. Nonetheless, they were not educated. My mother's left school in I think it was grade 3 or 4, because her parents were struggling and she wanted to help them. And that was a very common thing, is that people would leave school early to go and work, because it's not like they had any chance of getting a fancy education, because if you were not white, you couldn't, the education you could get was very limited. You worked in a factory, and you could go and work at a factory at 13 in those years. Anyway, so she left school. So my mother wasn't educated, right? My father, to escape it all, went to the military and suffered PTSD. Anyway, they were alcoholics. Long-winded way to get to the fact that my parents were alcoholics. My mother wasn't educated. And we were put into these people were removed from their land into these spaces. You guys live here. You have no choice. And so my grandparents sort of treated me like their child, but my grandparents didn't live long, and we moved a lot. There was a lot of substance abuse, a lot of instability, and we moved a lot. There was a lot of abuse. And my eldest aunt married a man who but before we started moving a lot, we were in this one council house. That was our home. It was my grandparents' first home. And then my aunt married this man. This is a total narcissist. And the chaos and the conflict and the violence and the abuse. He sexually assaulted me for years when I was little. And he beat my aunt. She had a broken collarbone and lots of stuff. So there was, growing up and then moving around and being in different environments and watching bullies and all these kinds of things. I do not like a bully. So I had an experience yesterday where someone that I know was dealing with a situation, and it was obvious to me this is narcissistic. That those tendencies where they do things that are so extreme and it's all got to be focused on them and they consider no one else. And I was so triggered by it, and because there's children involved, and I was like, you do not allow that kind of thing. I was triggered all the way into my bones, to the point where I wondered if I could be around this person, because I feel like when you are codependent and you don't have boundaries, you allow people to do things to you that affect your children and your family members, because that's obviously what I experienced, by association, that you're not just making that choice for yourself. And I have zero tolerance for it. So I was so triggered all the way into my bones that my nervous system was completely shut. And what came up for me was the fact that at this age, I'm still struggling with some of what I experienced with my parents who later adopted me. They took me in, and I feel like they took me in because they saw there was the need, and they were very attached to my outcomes without getting me any therapy, expecting me to do well because they took me out of a bad circumstance into a stable home. Your trauma doesn't just go away because I take you out of the situation you're in and put you in a better one. In fact, sometimes it's exacerbated. It was worse for me. I had more anxiety because I was waiting for it to fall apart. I was waiting to be abandoned. I was waiting to be rejected. And so anyway, all of that came up for me yesterday, and I had a major wobble. So anxiety doesn't always look like, it doesn't present the same for everyone. And so I want to tell that story because I think that's the important thing Spirit wants me to share with you guys, is anxiety does not present in the same way every time, and it doesn't present in the same way for everyone. Sometimes anxiety can feel like a shutdown. Sometimes anxiety can feel like a total lack of support. Sometimes anxiety shows up in different ways for us all within our nervous system. And I also just want to share with you guys that at the moment, with everything happening on our planet, our nervous systems need a lot more support. All right, so I'm going to start with you. I'm going to start channeling you, Lizzie. But I feel like I'm already being shown by Spirit that what you're experiencing, even though there is a history of it, is a lot more generalized. It's associated with what is happening on the planet. So that is what I'm going to start off with, okay? And I think that's going to benefit all of us. So sorry for my long-winded story and introduction. I hope I didn't bore you guys. But I do think sometimes hearing somebody else's story, we can resonate with some of it, or it gives words to some of what we're experiencing. So they're showing me something in your throat, Lizzie. I'm hearing I'm hearing that there's a lump in your throat. Now, a lump in someone's throat for me is somebody's choking back tears. Somebody's choking back. They don't feel safe to express their emotions. It's suppressed emotions. But also, I'm being shown it in. They're also letting me know that. And it's interesting that you joined the live when I was speaking about the throat chakra. Something around the glands or the thyroid that you want to be aware of. Your anxiety is a manifestation of long-term choking back of these tears, choking back of these emotions, suppressing your emotions, pushing it down automatically, not feeling safe enough to be able to let them out, not feeling safe enough to allow them. Thank you, Lilith. Not feeling safe enough to allow them to let them out. And I'm also hearing, Lizzie, that there is this subconscious thought that if I do, it's this fountain that will never stop spraying. I'm seeing you as the small being or the smaller person, and there's someone over you shouting at you. Like, I'm actually seeing spraying of anger and words and maybe even spit. Someone speaking down at you. And you're feeling so many things and you can't say anything. You know what I'm talking about, isn't it, Lizzie? And my solar plexus here, I can feel the anxiety and my throat is very active at this time. Okay. So we're going to clear some of that for you. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start by channeling a message around this for us as a collective group, and then I'm going to channel the energy. It's okay, Lizzie. You don't have to have a vivid recollection of everything. Just like me in this moment, I was thinking about anxiety and thinking, oh, I haven't felt anxious in a really long time. And then Spirit came and says, but yeah, remember yesterday? So it's fine. You don't have to have a vivid recollection of it. But I'm going to channel the message first. And then I'm going to channel through. Whilst I'm channeling the message, I'm going to bring through that energy. I'm going to bring through that healing energy and anything that you need to hear, Lizzie, okay, as well. So if we can just take 3 deliberate breaths, filling the lungs, holding that breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then releasing and emptying the belly. Just 3 breaths will do for us to settle into our heart space. Our world is changing, and we're hearing that a lot. We're hearing it everywhere. The world is changing. Consciousness as we know it. We are turning a new page every day. As we speak now, many pages are turning. And humanity is trying to keep up. But it's silly because you cannot. It is not your work. If you were all tasked with the job, the duty, to make your hearts beat, many of you would have fallen over by now. Some things are meant to happen for you. Many of you suffer with FOMO. You want to be involved. You want to be in control. You want to have your hands on the wheel. But this is not a regular vehicle. It's as if you're traveling on a spaceship. There is high intelligence managing and flying that ship. Why would you want to take over? Struggling with trust. Can I trust this intelligence? Will it fly us off into the wrong galaxy? Will we collide because there's malice into some massive rock floating in its orbit? All of these questions you ask yourselves. Questions, questions, questions. There is an obsession with being lost in the space of the question because so many of your questions have gone unanswered. So many of your questions have been suppressed. So it is important to you to ask and to ask and to ask. But when you ask and you remain in the vicinity of the question for long periods of time without moving up the scale into the space of the solution, because the answer, beloved, arrives in the moment of the asking, but you cannot hear it because the answer echoes in a different space, in a different room within yourselves. And it's okay, because you will not lose your way. Eventually, we all figure it out. You are connected to the fibers of all of existence. You are an intricate part of the earth, your great mother. And her energy is going through a restructuring. And this restructuring will manifest in a number of ways on the different levels that you can identify as frequencies. Plane. It is fast-tracked, it is fast-moving. There is so much of it. So you must begin to be selective. Imagine for a moment that you have always had to go into a store and select exactly what you want. And you only had so much money. So even though you might want to take everything in the store, you would write a list and get your favorites. Only what makes. Now, in this new reality store, the door opens to you because it reads your energy and it welcomes you in, and there's a voice above the door that greets you by your name or your identity number. And you walk in, and it's as if you have an array. You don't have raw ingredients anymore. You have a buffet with foods and treats from everywhere in the world. Anything you can think of. And you get to have your choice. It's overwhelming. You are going to visit that store and leave with things that you are not going to finish or like or enjoy. And you're going to have many regrets, but you will learn. And eventually, when you enter that store, the vendor that is your favorite, that brings you the most delight and joy, will already have your package pre-packed. Because your preference will be known. But before you get there, there is this chaos. And you are afraid to make mistakes because you have been taught that your every choice, your life depends on it. And unlearning false truths is a process. You have all gotten used to things that do not resonate with you on a soul level. You call them normal, you call them your life, you call them family, you call them friends. This is just the way it is, you say. But you can feel the restructuring deep in your bones. The fibers in your muscles vibrate with the changes. And you are escaping into the mind space. As opposed to settling within that reverb. You cannot escape the music. You cannot escape the sound, for it echoes everywhere around you. You cannot take the wheel, control the ship, you have been calibrated to effort and control and hard work. And the reality that you are stepping into is one of more ease, allowance, and receptivity. Do yourself a favor. Ask yourself in every moment when your body becomes a little bit uncomfortable, where am I disallowing the ease? Am I accepting? Am I allowing my greatest joy? Money is being restructured on your planet. This echoes into your sense of self and your stability. Your personal currencies are coming into question. Work is taking a different form. Family is being restructured. So I'm being guided through your throat now, Lizzie. And already it's feel that lump seems to be gone. So I'm going to ask that we channel, that we bring through some activating energy for you, some supportive healing energy for you. Oh. So Lizzie, we're going to channel through some activating energy for you. You are going to be activated. So this brings some things to the forefront. This helps you to step over some things and meet with some things. And you might notice that that is the energy around you in the next days or weeks to come. But I am being told by them that today is not the day to delve into this trauma. Okay. There's some support, some strength that needs to come through first. And so that's the layer we're dealing with today. All right, I want you to just feel, because I'm going to be channeling this energy into the heart space. Allow yourself to take a few nice, gentle breaths into your heart space. And it feels like something sharp in the chest. Okay. At the right time, you will be facilitated through the process to allow you to get to a place where you feel safe enough to process some of that. Um, but right now, you just need some support, just to get to a place where you're a little bit stronger. Um, I'm definitely feeling the lump in the throat is a little bit better. This is something that you want to give some space to processing, at the right time. They are saying to me, right, it's not, right now there's some energy that needs to be built. And I felt a very sharp, it felt like a sharp object in my chest. But when I tune into your energy, Lizzie, it's just this shutting down. It's just this lulling. So you might find like that you need to rest a bit more. Okay, that you need to rest a bit more. That you need to, because it is quite heavy, and there's some rebooting that might need to take place. How are you feeling? You feeling okay? Okay. That's fine. Good. That's fine. Um, you are personally going through a restructuring as well. And everything that needs to happen for you to feel free, to have this heaviness lifted, is happening. Everything cannot happen all at once, of course. Okay. But I know that this journey's begun for you already. Yeah. Okay. So, lots of water, lots of rest. And if you can start to journal just how you experience yourself, maybe at the end of the day, today I experienced this, today this happened, whatever, and you go back at the end of the week and read your journal, you will be able to get some insight into into some things, where you will be able to witness yourself and recognize that Some things seem to be shifting. Some things are coming to the forefront. Okay, so with the channeled healing, with an activation, you're going to see evidence of things over the next couple of days. You're going to feel the activation in a number of different ways. Obviously, it's unique to each person. But I feel like a lot has shifted in your throat alone. And that anxiety is associated with that throat chakra stuff. Okay. So do journal, and then take rest when you need to take rest. Just witness yourself, and then maybe in the future when I go live again and you feel up for it, we'll come together again, and maybe we'll do another level, just see what we're allowed to do then. But with a channeled healing, I usually do a course of 4 sessions with a client, and I download a process for you to do at home that supports that process, because obviously one session is not going to dramatically change anything. It certainly helps, it benefits, but I sell a course of 4 sessions at a discount, like at a discounted price, and then I offer a free process, a downloaded process, which you then do to support yourself at home. And who knows, maybe when you feel called to, when your guides prompt you to, in the future, you can contact me for that. All right, because I've had a lot of great success with my clients who I do that with privately. Okay. But as I said, even in the channeling, what was brought through is the fact that there is a restructuring taking place on our planet. So we feel that energetically, and it can be quite unnerving. But I feel like for you, there's a lot that has been suppressed, that's been swallowed down, as I said, that you're going to have to process in a safe environment. To be able to allow for that freedom, to move forward, just feeling lighter and healthy. I feel you've gotten really used to this, to being in a state that is quite heavy. And there's a lot there, and I can acknowledge that. Okay, you're welcome, Lizzie. You're welcome. Right. Okay, guys. So, did any of you get any benefit from the channeling? Any information there that you felt was helpful or resonates? Okay, thank you, Lilith. All right. Okay. So, something that will be very helpful at this time, because if we don't support our nervous systems with everything that's happening on our planet at the moment, if we do not support our nervous system, we are going to lose the plot a bit. So I have been putting on my YouTube channel, I've been putting some sound therapy, just with some music playing in the background and just like a picture. It's not long. I think there's one that's short and one that's a little bit longer. If you can maybe save that or bookmark that, and at intervals throughout your day take a pause, like when you're driving, or when you stop when you move from one segment to another segment in your day, to just take 60 seconds to listen to that and to allow the sound therapy to just help you recalibrate, to just calm your nervous system, to help you to settle into your body. Because when we're in our minds for too long, we're not connecting to the body. We're going hours and hours without resetting, sort of settling back into the body. We are causing our bodies a lot of strain and our processes a lot of strain. Okay, like when your phone has too much memory, like there's too much on your phone and you don't have enough storage, then it starts lagging. That's what starts to happen. So make use of the resources that's provided. Make use of that sound therapy to just listen to the music in your, like as it moves in your body for a couple of seconds, and then carry on with your day. And then later when you have a moment, take a pause again, listen to the sound therapy where the music goes in your body, and carry on with your day. Okay, these are the types of things that we need to do right now. Okay, all right. Okay, so yeah, everything happens exactly as it should. And I just got a message from them, just to express to you, Lizzie, that the reason why they didn't reveal more info, why they didn't let me reveal more information today pertaining to your channeling, is because there is some sensitivity to your condition and to when is the right time for things, you know. Um, I did pick up some things, obviously, in my body and stuff, but when I wanted to look, it was shut. There was this veil. So I know it's like it's not the time now. Only give what we're giving, and the time will come. So there is a sensitivity to you having to develop a bit of strength, building, supporting the nervous system, and some other things, clearing out. Thank you guys for being here this evening, and I'm going to try and go live again next Thursday. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I never know what's going to come through. It's going to be different, obviously, each time. But I look forward to seeing you guys next Thursday when we do. Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, yes, yeah, definitely. We are so loved. We are so, so loved. And so we are honored always by spirit, and everything needs to serve. And I absolutely trust that. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it and you felt the love, and that you feel you received some lovely healing energy. And then next week, when I go live again next Thursday, if you guys want to join, you can join again, and we can do some more of these. So yes, thank you, everyone. Take good care of yourselves, and guys next week. All right, or whenever you see my posts, my YouTube videos. All right, so take care of yourself, guys. We'll chat again soon. Bye now.